Hi everyone, David Maley here, and today I'm going to show you something a little bit different. We've been doing a lot of R programming and coding lately, but today I'm going to show you how to do a cool dashboard on an actual campaign, a marketing campaign in Power BI. So if you see right behind me right here, we're going to show you how to build this right here. And what's neat about this is the stuff that we build in R is really cool, but unless you have an R server or Shiny server or something like that set up, your people, your requesters, they're going to get a great image like some of the Sankeys that we create, but they're not going to have the ability to drill down. They're not going to have the ability to go and see the data behind it and all of those things unless you send that separate to them. So with this, what I'm going to show you is this dashboard here has all the data behind everything here. So once it's built, anyone can go in here and that has access to it, that we've granted access to, that we've shared it with, can go in here and click here and say, I want to know what's more behind this average basket size. I want to see the data. Or I want to know more of what's behind this quantity of sold items pre, during, and post campaign. I want to see the actual numbers. So they can click here, show the data. They go in here and here's their data. And it's broken out by pre, during, and then post. And they can actually see, oh, on November 2nd, there's 224. You know, they can look at the numbers and everything here for that and see a bigger breakout of it. They can do that with any of these graphs, and also when they're inside the graph, they can actually see, you know, the numbers right there on it. So obviously with this graph here on quantity sold by store number and period, we can see, you know, the during the campaign is outpacing the pre-campaign, and we can see that post-campaign apparently we increased their baskets so much that these customers greatly reduce their shopping afterwards. Now that'll probably pick up again as happens with campaigns, but in this case that's what that shows. We can see the variance in the number of items sold per day, so we can see a breakout. You know, the month has 31 days in it, and see, you know, where oh, there's a dip here. So we know that that one is probably due to the fact there's a major dip for Thanksgiving, and that's in this data. Obviously because it covers November of 2018. And it may also have Halloween in it, and it may have, you know, some summertime slowness in there, like this day right there. August 18th would be on the 18th right there. But so that's the variance of it. In number of items sold per day. We have monthly breakdown of sales, pre, during, and post for each of the months, which month is best, which month is not, and then we also have average basket amount, customers during the campaign, average basket size. Now this data set that I'm using here is the Quicky Mart data set, and I'll post it if I haven't already on Kaggle for you to play with, and you can actually see it here. So if I open this up, the visualizations in the fields, you can see it's basically got sales data over a period. It's got sales, quantity sold, store number, transaction number, date, which is trans TS, and customer ID. So it's got all of those things in it, and it does not have locations in it. So if it had locations, we'd probably put a nice map or two in here showing you exactly how the sales break out over location or over cities or stores and stuff like that. But I have none of that data for the stores in here. So with this data set. But what we've got here, if you look at this, you can click on any of these and it'll tell you, what's nice is it highlights exactly what visualization I'm using. So right there you can see it's this yellow one right here, which is KPIs. Okay, these are all three at the top KPIs. And then underneath it, the first box here is the actual fields that I'm bringing in. So I have average of quantity sold. Now none of these say average in front of it. That's because once you go in here, you right click this and put average on it. Or it'll automatically default usually to sum or count depending on the data. But I picked average, so it automatically puts that in front of it. And then this is the transaction number is in there, and that's what gives me that. I can go over here to this one, same thing. See how it's yellow here for KPIs, and in this case it's customer ID over a period. And then we also have the average basket amount, which is, again, we've done the average like we did earlier. You just click here, go to average from sum. This one by default went to sum. You just put average, and then on top we got transaction number here. Now what you also want to look at is how do we name these correctly. So you go to the second box here, right? And under this, we can change the color coding, and we can go to title. So in this case, go to title, make sure it's on, not off. And then you put in your title right here. So in this case, average basket amount. I pick the font color of black, the background color of this gray box right here. White, 20% darker, which is gray but closer to white. And it's not a dark gray. And then the text size, I picked 13, and let's put Calibri in there so that they're all the same. That should have been Calibri, but that's fine. You can pick whatever font family you want. You could pick a bold, like Arial Black, which is more bold. Calibri is what I use for these. And that's how those first three are done, and I can walk through each of these with you. Basically, they're just KPIs we're just putting in the fields. You can put a filter on it if you want to. And then keep in mind when you're doing these filters, you have a visual level, you have a page level, and a report level. Okay, so what you have to understand here is if you use the visual level, it stays with the filter stays within your visuals. I could filter this, and it won't go out to any of the others on that page. If I do it in the page level, right, what it'll do is everything on this page will become filtered based on the filter I put in here. Now, if I go to report level, what that means is I could have multiple pages here. Then that filter from this chart or visualization goes to the rest of the page and to all the other pages for this report. So you have to figure that out as to what you want your filter to show. Do you want your filter to be cross-page, cross-report, or do you want just to stay within the visual itself? So that's how those work. Now, if I go to these involve a little bit more. So see how it changed from KPI to this guy over here, which is your line chart. And then let's go up to the top. Let's take this up here, and I'll show you. So we're on the first choice here. There's 3 tabs, right? The first tab is going to be your field. So in this case, I've got date as my axis, right? I want date. And then I have legend is period. That's this up here. And values are my quantity sold amount. So I'm going to have my quantity sold amount in here. I'm going to have my period differentiated by color. So that's what when I put legend in there. And then I have the date right here as my values, and you can see it down here. Date is July, August, September, October, November. So that's how that works. And again, I can go in here and I can change the filters inside of it if I wanted to. I can go here, and again the same thing I can change the colors. I can go to data colors and choose these colors to whatever I want them to be. I can change the shapes if I want. That's where I change this from a 2 as default to a 3 to make them a little bit thicker, the lines. And if I wanted to put an image behind it, I would do it in plot area. You'll see down here I did that down here with this one. I put an image behind it, and I believe it's like 80% or something like that. So it's kind of like a watermark. And so back to this one, we've got title again, same thing, font color, background color, text size, and Calibri. That's how that works. This guy here, notice how it went over there now. This is a donut chart. So you could have a pie chart or donut chart. I like donut charts better. And you can pick the fields you want in there. In this case, we have month and day. And we could pick, for values, we put quantity sold amount. We could also show quantity sold by store during the campaign. So we could do this one. And this is, see how it went different here? That went to the stacked bar chart. So in this case, we have a lot of stores. So we want to have them all. I don't want to have a huge column of this. So I have them from 0 to 100 here as a store number. This is, and I've only got, so notice how I filtered this one to during, but these don't filter to just during. So I filtered this one in the page. So if you go down here, you have to go to your filters and see it's within the visual. See how it's during right here in the visual? I have it just selected to during here in the visual. So it stays within that box. If I did that one below it, which would be the page level right here, that would carry it through all of these right here, would filter everything. And that might be fine. That might be what you want to do. In this case, I want to show the whole campaign here. I'm going to show the pre-period, the campaign during period and the post period. I want to show what it did, and then I want to show in this one the stores and what they did during the campaign only. So that way they can go in and say, oh, you know, this store here, this is what's nice about Power BI. They can just hover over it and get the data, or they can go and click the little three dots here and see the show data behind it, and then they can actually get a better representation of the graph because it's bigger. And then they can also go right here and get the actual data for the store numbers, for each of the store numbers for this, for the during piece of this. Now if we go back to that, let's bring back the visualizations. So we go back in here again. You can just minimize these anytime you want and bring them back. That's what's nice about the desktop version of this. And so when we're in here, you can see I have store number, period, and quantity sold amount. Obviously, period is my legend here, but keep in mind we only have the 1 versus the 3 here because we filtered it down to be just the 1. Now, we also have down here, I have a tree map, and this tree map, so see how it all of a sudden linked on this, it highlighted this one, tree map. That's what I'm using here. And we have store number as the grouping, and I have quantity sold amount. So this shows me all the store numbers by the quantity sold. Now, because there's so many store numbers, it doesn't fill in every single number here on this side. But if I do this, let's open this up, get those 3 bars back, those 3 dots. If I go into here and go to show the data, what's nice about tree maps is now when I open up to the full, it shows me all of them. Okay, and you can obviously see store 81 sold the most. Your top left will always do that, and store 78, your bottom right, sold the least. So if we go in here, we can actually, they're actually listed in order. Store number 81 sold 408, and all the way down to store number 78 with 170. It looked like 11, but 11 is right here with 231. So that sold more than 78. That's actually bigger and was more. But that's how that works. You can also go in here and do a variance like I did here. What's nice about this graph, what I want to show you here is what we did was in this one. So remember there's 3 tabs again. You don't really do much with this. This tab is if you want to do some trend lines, some minimum lines. You know, I could do that if I wanted to. I could add one in, but I'm not doing that right here. What I'm doing right here is I'm putting this image behind it. So let's go here. And let's go to the plot area. And see this right here? I have put an image in. You can put your image in right here. I could take it out if I wanted to and remove it by clicking the X. And I could just put an image in that I have locally hosted. And you can choose whether to fill it, normal, fit, you know, whatever you want there. And then this is the transparency. So this is what I was talking about. As this goes lower, it makes it much darker. As this goes this way, it makes it like a, you know, a watermark. So that's what I wanted right here. It's kind of like a watermark. Somewhere around 90, 88, something like that. So maybe we'll pick 90. And you can also type it in too. You can also revert to the default, which will take it out. And then we also have, so that's the variance. And the variance also, let's go back here. We have the, so inside here, see how it says variance of quantity sold amount, and we don't have that choice in here, but we do have quantity sold amount. So when I bring it here, I just click this little arrow, and I can pick, you know, like we saw earlier, sum and average. Normally defaults to sum or count. Well, in this case, I chose variance. I could have chosen the standard deviation, the median, and I could also choose to show the percent as a, you know, to show the values as a percent of the grand total. Or even throw in a new quick measure if I wanted to. And this one here, the reason why I want to show this one is it looks a little bit messy when you look at it small like this, but for a requester, they're going to want to see this. And the reason being is you just click on show the data. Remember I had told you how to do that. And what's nice is when you're in here, you can see the numbers just like you could on the first one, but it's bigger. But you can clearly see that the during period is outselling the previous period, which is blue, right? And also the post period. So this is a campaign that had a good positive effect on beating the pre-period, but what it did is it probably maximized out or customers bought so much product that they're not going to come back for a while, and so we lost on the post. So this was a campaign that maybe we pushed out a bunch of items that we had excess of, or we have new ones coming in stock that are going to replace those, so we need to move them on out. And there could be a reason for this that, you know, you would want to do this in. Most cases you don't want to have a post period like that. You want to have some permanence of your campaign, but it all depends on the situation. It depends on the kind of goods you have, their shelf life, things like that. So down here what's nice is it also has the stores broken out to what their levels were of during, post, and pre. So you can see here, you know, were they all bigger in during than in the pre? And you can see it clearly here. Not always. So like store 5 had a decrease. Its pre-campaign was 135, its during was 75, and its post was 31. You may even have some that have a bigger post. It's possible. You could look through that and identify the anomalies in there. So this way, the users, you can give them the data. They have a dashboard, right? And it's what's really cool about Power BI is you can just go in here, and once you've built this for a campaign, whenever you get similar campaigns, you can go and take that data and you can go and change the data out here. So you can go up here to Edit Queries, click this button. Let's see if it's going to work today. Well, hold on here. I think my screen might have locked up, maybe. Well, you would click this button. I don't know why it's not clicking today, but you would click that button and you can change out the Excel sheet or the data that you have coming in. If you have it coming in from database tables, whatever it is, you could switch it up. And that's what's really neat. So once you've built it, you can do that. And you can also enter in new data. So you can click Get Data and put data in. So that's what's really cool about this, and you can add multiple pages. So as I was talking about earlier, you can have a page of like a digital campaign. Maybe you have a digital campaign broken out over several social media sources. Maybe you had LinkedIn, and then you had some Facebook ads, and then maybe you had some Google ads, and you know, whatever else you might have. And then you might have had some, you know, some mailers, some emails. You could have a page for each of those, and then the users can just go back and forth and say, oh, this is what we did here, this is what this one did, and so on. It's really neat. And once you have the data, you just load it up, change it out. You've already built everything, and you're good to go. Very easy to use and send to your users. So it's really neat in that aspect. So I hope you found this helpful. We showed you here how to build a dashboard. This is not a very advanced one, but it doesn't matter. It covers a lot of bases. It gives you average basket size, customers during the campaign, average basket amount, you know, your pre, during, and post campaign, monthly breakdown of the sales, quantity sold by store during the campaign, and they can go and drill into all these things. They can see what store sold the most. You know, what was the variance during days. We could change that to be months or whatever we want. We could also, and they can also look at this and identify that, you know, that the during period obviously outsold the pre and definitely outsold the post. So maybe they might want to tweak this campaign in the future so that they don't have quite this drop in the post period. But as you can see here also, the post period for this campaign, when this was run, this data was run, it was very small, or the end of this data that was given. So if we had more data here that went beyond the last day, here's November 15th. So if we had data that went into like the end of December or January, we might have a lot of difference here. We might actually have this come back and swing up, and this right here would probably come right up here and be in this, which would mean we'd had a much more effective campaign with more permanence to it. So thanks again for watching. Please take a moment to subscribe and like down below. Tell me what you think. Do you want more videos on Power BI stuff? Do you want more videos training you on how to do techniques and processes in R? Or do you want SAS or Excel stuff? What are you looking to learn? What do you want to learn? This is stuff that I actually use in data science and data analysis for one of the largest companies in the world. And I do this for marketing departments, for sales departments, all kinds of different groups, departments, teams. And I also provide data like this to friends of mine and people that are in other, you know, different niches and want to learn and see what their data is or how it works and how to do different things. So thanks again for watching. Please take a moment to subscribe, like, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Thanks again and have a great day.